So what do you call it when you have every possible project type in one floss tube? Is it like a hat trick, the whole shebang, a perfect storm? Chris Cross-Stitch coined the phrase a while back, and I can't for the life of me remember. But whatever it is, I've got it this episode. So welcome everyone to A Stitch in the Matrix. I'm Wendy. My pronouns are she, her, and this is a channel mostly about cross-stitch with occasional other crafts thrown in there. I do have some crochet today to show you. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new, welcome. So today is Monday, January 20th, 2025, and here in the United States, today is Martin Luther King Day. So I hope you'll indulge me a little bit. I wanted to read you a quote I found from him that I don't think I'd heard before, and I kind of liked it. So this is from 1968. I think this was his very last speech, and he was talking about that if he'd had the choice to live in any era, he would still choose the one he was born into. And the quote from him is, "Now that's a strange statement to make because the world is all messed up. The nation is sick. Trouble is in the land. Confusion all around. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars." So I thought that was that's a good quote that makes me feel good today. So getting on to, let's get right into cross stitch. I have a ton of stuff to show you. Got a huge pile next to me. And of course we've got revenge patterns, haul, all kinds of good stuff. So let's get right into it. So I do have, just by accident, I was getting ready for this episode and I realized I have one of each possible type. So I've got a finish, a start and finish, a start and fully finish, new starts, and a whip. If I've forgotten one, let me know. I was like going through them all. I think I got them all. So let's get right into it. This was a surprise finish. I did not expect to ever finish this because I was in the land of fill-in. So this is one I've shown here before. Merry Beard Season by Lindy Stitches. And I'll have you know, I put a little sticky note on my phone next to the camera. A little smiley face. So I remember to look into the smiley face's eyes and not up here into this mirror. We'll see if I do it any better. So anyway, Merry Beard Season by Lindy Stitches. I love how this came out. I did change the words in his beard to say Santa is for everyone. I just love how it came out. And I've been forgetting to say the colors, Steph gave 3 different shades for the skin tone. And I just looked at DMC and took it one number darker to match a family member that this stitch reminds me of. Yes, he looked a lot like Santa Claus. This is stitched on 32 count Vesper by Picture This Plus, 2/2. And then I did put there's like gray swirlies in his beard. I don't know if you can see it here or not. I used some sort of etoile. It was like white etoile, but it looks kind of gray. So I think it came out cute. I do want to turn it into a pillow, and I got this ribbon. It was like wrapped around something I got around Christmas time. I forget where I got it, but I thought that ribbon's really pretty, so I'll put that on whenever I make it into a pillow. If I ever do that. I really need to start fully finishing things. You'll hear me say that a lot. Okay, so what's next? I had a SAF, which is start and finish. And this was a kit I got from that online Facebook group. I think it's called Homespun Needle Arts. So they do exclusive kits. This was by Hands On Design, so you get all the stuff you need. Oh, I guess I could show you I don't really need to show you the picture because I've already finished it. But at any rate, here it is. So this is Hands On Design, the Christmas Tide sampler. And I don't know if she'll release it to the general public. It seems like she does usually eventually release things within maybe a year, next year. But I don't know for sure. So, but at any rate, here it is. I'll show you all at once. I love this so much. This was so much fun to stitch. And what I liked about what Kathy did, she, you didn't have to do it this way, but she planned it so you could start on Christmas Day, and she cut the chart up into little pieces, so you could, for the 12 days of Christmas, you could stitch one little section. I love the poinsettias at the bottom. And the little, these wreaths, oh my god, so my favorite part of this whole thing is that one stitch on the candle flame. It just makes it so perfect. So yes, she's separated into 12 sections, and I almost finished it in time. I got distracted by something else, so I was a couple days late, but I like how it was sectioned off like that, so it was small, manageable bites. And she did, in the kit, it came with all the finishing supplies, and also enough to do this. There's a little tiny ornament, and she gives you enough to do that as well. So if you ever have a chance to buy a kit from Hands On Design, you will not be disappointed. Her kits are really good. Okay, so next, I had a start and fully finished object. This was, I think I showed it last time, Povitrulya. They're on Etsy and Amazon. They offered me a free kit if I would show it on social media. And I actually finished it. I stitched it up in one day, and then I think I finished it the next day. So here's the kit I got. It's called Santa's Reindeer. I don't know if I've tied my face so it'll focus. And this was a really nicely done kit. And if you look up, I'll link them below. If you look up their shop, they have they have everything from like beginner level stuff to actually some really nice, more what do you call it, like advanced kits. So they have quite the variety. I was snooping around on there the other day. So they give you everything you need to complete this bookmark. So I'm all finished with this cute little deer. And the picture had you do one color all the way around, but I wanted to do loop start with the thread, and I thought, oh, it'd be fun to do different colors all the way around. Why not? And they were very generous with the thread. There was plenty of thread. So I used the little motifs, and I did some ornaments on the back. So that's the back. And actually, I was watching an exciting movie, and so I stitched the whole deer's head and made a the kind of mistake you can't fudge. The deer would have looked like it had an accident. So, and I was too lazy. I didn't want to pull it out. So I actually restarted because they give you 2 pieces of Ada. So I just restarted. So there is plenty of thread because even with what's left over now, this is what's left over now. I could almost restitch this again, and if I hadn't made that terrible mistake, I probably could have. So they are very generous with their thread. So all in all, I really enjoyed this very much, and now I have a bookmark to use. So yeah, give them a little look-see. Also, their instructions were very clear. They had instructions for how to do the various types of stitches, and they also had what do you call it? A QR code that you can look with your camera, and their QR code took you to their YouTube channel where they have how-to videos for how to do. So because I'd forgotten how to do the buttonhole stitch. It's one of those. It's so simple, but I always forget how to do it. And the video was like, bam, showed me right how to do it, and I was back on track in 10 seconds. So hats off to Povitrulya. Okay, so we're on to the next page already. So I had 4 new starts. One of which I blame entirely on Annie, XO, Needle in the Hay XO. She is doing a stitch along for the Quaker Christmas Stocking by Kathy Barrick. Trying to get the whole thing in the screen here. I love this piece so much. So here it is close up. So what really sold me was the swan. And also, I like the idea of Annie's also splitting this up into, I think she's doing 24 sections. So every 2 weeks, she gives us an assignment. And she's actually stitching both the sampler and the stocking at the same time. So she gives us an assignment that's very doable, very stitchable. And that's fun because it helps you break up. Sometimes when I look at a big pattern, I don't know where to start or where to go next. So it's kind of fun to just do it in little pieces. And I'm almost caught up. I need to do this next section, but I got distracted with other things as per usual. So that's what it's going to look like. I'm doing mine. Oh, and I forgot to say, I thought from the picture that background behind the swan, I thought that looked like navy, and I really like the navy blue, so I did change that. The other colors I took from Stash, but I tried to match them up pretty close to this pattern, but I bought navy blue for that background because I think that's going to be really pretty that way. So it is silk from my stash, so it's like a little bit of everything. I have a lot of random silks. So here's all of it. And yeah, it's NPI is the navy that I got. If you want to know, NPI 749. And then there's everything Swaddle J, Rainbow Gallery. That doesn't have a name. I even have, this is Almond M&Ms, this yellow. Okay, so I'm trying out all these kinds of silk. The only one I wasn't really excited about was the Rainbow Gallery. This is Rainbow Gallery silk. I think it says, I can't read my own handwriting. I think it says S800. It's just kind of thick. So it would be good if you needed it in a thicker, or a project that needed thicker thread, but it feels like it's maybe 1.5 the thickness of the other silks. But I mean, it's fine. It's coming out nice. So I am doing the stocking version because the little bird in the toe of the stocking was just too cute. So starting at the bottom, and did I say I'm doing this on 32 count old gold Lugana, and I don't know who the dyer is, it wasn't on the label, but I'm doing it 1/1. So let's see if hopefully it's focusing. So here's the little bird at the bottom. Not super thrilled about the blues I got. I kind of pulled from Stash, like I said, so this blue I'm kind of not sure about. I might change the colors up so that there's only 2 blues, because it's easy to change the pattern that way. But otherwise, this is really, really fun. And I'm doing okay, seeing on over 1. Hopefully, should I get even closer? I'll try to hold it still for a minute. Look at those tiny trees. So this is very, very fun. Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, I'm not yet sick of Christmas cross-stitching. So I'll probably keep going with these. Okay, the next one, I'm losing my system here of piling things up. Excuse me while I reconfigure. Okay, my next new start was Christmas Folk by, this is another hands-on design. So here, and this was a Jingle Ball. I think this was an exclusive to the Jingle Ball. I'm trying to get the whole thing in there. And with these, I'm pretty sure this will be released next year. But again, I don't have any insider information, but I think so. So this matches those. She did a series of these seasonally that I really liked. I need to get the other ones, but where you can just do a row at a time and feel like you've accomplished something. And then she gives you the little ornament to go with it. So very fun, and I'm stitching this on 32 count antique white Belfast linen with all the called for, because she just uses DMC. Although I didn't notice, I didn't read the pattern. She calls for number 12 pearl cotton for one section, which I may or may not have. I don't know, I have to look for it. Let's see, I don't know if I have it. But here's my start. Oh, I love that poinsettia at the top. Is it poinsettia or poinsettia? I can't remember. And then I finished the little row of houses down below. Really, really pretty. She has a way of, like, you know, it looks pretty enough before the backstitch, and then she adds the backstitch in like contrasting colors, and it just gives it an extra pop. I love Kathy's designs. So pretty. So I'm gonna have fun stitching this one. Oh, let's see, what's next? Then I started this is another Jingle Ball pattern from Lindy Stitches, Snowflakes and Stars. And if you hear something that sounds like snoring, it's snoring. My dog Henry is outside the door behind me. It's sound asleep. So anyway, Snowflakes and Stars by Lindy Stitches for that teal house. And I generally don't like to start in the middle of a pattern, but I wanted to get to the house right away, so I started it right in the middle. I cheated and went right for the good stuff, because I can. So this is my start. So I went right for that cute house with the pink roof. Oh, I love it so much. So that's how that's coming. And I'm stitching this on 32 count Belfast linen Stormy Clouds. And this is one of those, it's printed on one side and then it's blank on the other side. But I thought that would look like a nice, you know, a winter sky kind of deal. And I did get, she calls for a mixture of Fancy Floss and DMC, so I went ahead and got, because I really wanted that teal. Oh, that teal's so pretty. If you want to know, the teals are, well, it's not really teal, it's like a green. So Weeks Dye Works Sea Glass is the dark green, and then Classic Colorworks Lettuce Leaf is the lighter, paler green. Oh, I love those colors so much. If you're sensing a theme, I've decided I like 32 count fabric. I love 32 count. Okay. So there's that one. And then my last start I did on, I think I started this on New Year's Day. This is Radoperin, and that's, I think they're an Italian designer. Happy Tree. And it's really hard. It's really hard to see this picture, but it is just gorgeous. So you've got the little, the cool thing about this pattern, I think I mentioned it last time, you can just chop it off anywhere you want if you don't want to do the whole thing, and it would still be a complete tree. So I have really had fun stitching this. And of course at the top, it's very quick. I started at the top center, and it stitches really easy and fast. And it's all DMC, so that I love when designers can take, DMC is, you know, what do you call it? Not variegated, plain color thread, but they make the shading look like it's stitched in Fancy Floss. I just love that. My husband is now, can you hear that? Now belching outside the door. It's just a disaster around here. If any of you are married or living with someone, I'm sure you know the weird noises your partners make. Okay, so here's my start. But I'm loving how it's coming out. It's really fun to stitch on. And the fabric, I wrote down the fabric is 36 count Weeks Straw. And I'm stitching that, it's 2 threads over 2 fabric threads. So those are all my new starts. Then I pulled out a whip. Here it is. This is one I haven't worked on in a while. This is a Merejka kit called Summer Afternoon. And hopefully there's no glare. Oh, come back here. These kits are very, very nice. These are luxury kits. The fabric is, I didn't feel the need to change the fabric. The flosses are nice. I'm pretty sure these are DMC flosses, but I can't remember. It probably says right in the screen. Yes, there it is. These are DMC threads. I just love this cat sitting in the window. And the pattern is crystal clear. It's very large, color, super easy to read. So I appreciate that a great deal. And I'm doing it because they give you the grid pattern in the pattern, not on the fabric, but in the pattern. So to keep track, because I can't color it in since it's already in color, I'm doing like kind of a square at a time to keep track of it. So here's my progress. If I remember, I will put what it looked like before as proof that I did make progress on this. Because it probably doesn't look like much. I was doing like, I filled in a bunch of squares coming down this way. Oh, it's coming out so, so pretty. hopefully it's in focus and showing you something. But the flowers are starting to come out now, and I'm pretty close to the cat. I'm getting there. This kit is so much fun to stitch. It doesn't show up on camera, but this is a very light blue fabric, which is perfect for the, I mean, it's full coverage anyway, but it's pleasant to stitch on a light blue fabric while you fill in your threads. So that is that one. Did I want to say anything else about that? Oh, so, okay. Here, you can look at it while I tell you. We were watching one of the worst movies ever made while I stitched on this. It's called Ice Road Truckers with Liam Neeson. It basically threw all physics and common sense out the window. So take my advice and don't bother watching that terrible, terrible movie. Even if, like me, you like Liam Neeson, don't bother. Okay. There's that one. So then I had a restart of a pattern, which is because of WIPGO. So, I was going to show you Pirates Code WIPGO. So Jessie Marie Does Stuff picked numbers 20 and 11 for January. Number 20 turned out to be St. George and the Dragon, which I'll show you, because I also forgot his name. So this is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artist is Scott Gustafson. And I'll give you a close-up on the painting. Oh, I love it so much. So I had to restart because I started it on 25 count easy guide, and I wasn't liking the coverage I was getting. It's fine, it's not terrible, but you can see the white through the dark blue. So I thought I wanted to go to 28 count, and I'm glad I did, because, and we'll see if I can get my third arm out here and show you both at the same time. But oh, also, I hadn't had this out in a while. They forgot I had this needle minder. A prison Mike. So here's my restart, and you can see there's much better coverage. I didn't get very far, but you don't see the white fabric through the blue. So let's see if I can hold them up together. Can you see anything? Well, wow, that's a huge size difference. I mean, I didn't stitch as much either, I guess I should say. All right, I don't know what's happening here. Okay. All right, you can just look at it sideways. So there's a huge coverage difference. Really liking how it's turning out. So if you're wondering about Easy Guide, because I didn't know either. So the Easy Guide with the grid printed right on it, and this being an even weave fabric is very easy, even though it's tiny. It's easy to see and easy to find the holes. It's almost like stitching on Ada for me. And I was wondering, because this grid does wash out. If you're wondering, you almost have to boil the fabric to get the grid out. So if you spill your tea on it and you need to wash it out, or if the dog sneezes on it, that never happens around here, you can wash it. Because I actually, I had heard people mention things like, oh, the thread blooms when you wash it, and so it poofs up a little bit. So I wanted to make sure on the 25 count, I was like, maybe it'll bloom when I wash it and poof up, and then I don't want the 28 count because that's too thick. So I'm very lazy. This is a huge piece of fabric. I just took the corner. I washed only the corner of the fabric. But I just used shampoo. I figure that's mild enough. So I washed with cool water, not cold, but not hot, not warm. And I washed it, I just swished it around by hand and then rinsed it out. And I even ironed it a little bit. So it didn't really bloom that much, in case you're wondering. And you'll notice the grid did not wash out. So the grid is not super easy to get out. It can be gotten out, because some people do non-full coverage, or even sometimes if you have a whole white section, this grid will show through your threads. But you do, just look up, there's videos. I just haven't needed one yet, but there's videos on how to get the grid out. And you have to wash it in, you don't have to boil it, but pretty hot water to get the grid out. So in case you were wondering, that's that answer. And also, oh, that was the other thing I wanted to show you. So I really liked Stitchman Darcy's technique for, he would stitch one 10 by 10 square each time. And it's easier to keep track of the pattern. Lots of people do it, not just Darcy, but it's easier to keep track of the pattern, etc. And you kind of feel like you've accomplished something. You do a little square. As opposed to some people do cross country where they just go all over the place with the thread. That's just not for me. But if you, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, you can kind of see. If you do strictly one square at a time and like kind of do diagonals, you get this, the way the tension in the thread is, you get these columns. I don't know if you can see it. I can even feel it. And part of it is because I watch a lot of horror movies while I stitch, and so my tension is very tight. So yeah, it's showing up a little bit. You see the lines there? So I didn't want that. I wanted it to be flatter, and it's not a huge deal. Like if you have those, it's not the end of the world. Who's going to notice when it's framed? And you can probably, I did try stretching it really tight, like with my hands, and I wasn't stretching it out. So anyway, what I ended up doing was, this is another thing Darcy does. You pick, so you're looking at a grid, a pattern grid, behind it here, and he picks, like, you know, there's multiple colors in each grid, maybe, unless it's all fill-in, but he picks the ones with the least stitches first, and then when you get to the end, then you just fill it all in with the other color. I'm not making any sense, but I think you kind of get my drift. So it goes a little faster at the end, because when you're filling in the last bit of the square, you don't have to look at the pattern for a minute. But also what I'm doing is I try to fill in a square, but then I keep going outside of the square with the thread, and so that crosses over. It seems to have eliminated the tension issue. I mean, it's just a small start I have, but it's definitely flatter. It's noticeably flatter. So I just keep going outside the square, but I use that square I want to complete as my choice of what next color to pick. Because I don't like thinking about what color to pick next. I want to just mindlessly know, okay, I'm doing this color next, because otherwise I sit there and overthink it. And we shouldn't be overthinking our cross stitch. Just have fun. So anyway, that's my long-winded talk about St. George and the Dragon. And then I will tell you, I was enjoying this so much, this pattern, and I really like this painting. So I thought, well, what can I do to speed this up? Like, maybe I should do what some folks do and, like, you know, set goals or decide to work on it a certain amount of time every month. Or, like, how can I speed this up so that, you know, I finish it fairly quickly? And this pattern has 81 pages. So my friends, I gave myself a small existential crisis, because if you take 81 pages, the amount of work I did, I think this is 4 evenings of stitching, like, so a couple hours a day, because I have to go to work and stuff. So I thought an achievable but still kind of lofty goal would be half a page a month. So a full page every 2 months. And still, that's a lot of stitching on one project. And life sometimes gets in the way, you don't always. But I thought, well, let's start there. So doing the math on the little calculator, that's 81 pages times 2, which is like, I think, 162. And then you divide that by 12 months. We're talking 13 and a half years to finish this pattern. This is not even the largest full coverage I have going. I have that kitschy kitchen shelf, which I really, really want to finish. And that's even larger. I'm not going to live forever. And I have so many wonderful things I want to stitch on. So I had a little existential crisis, you know, what am I doing with my life? This isn't happening. But don't worry, fear not. Still love stitching. I'm still going to keep going with this. Who knows? I might win the lottery, and then, you know, I wouldn't have to work all the time. I could just stitch all day. And maybe I could hire people to wind my floss for me or something. I don't know. to thread all my needles so that I could go faster. So there's my little existential crisis moment. but it's all good. We're doing this for fun. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we're doing this for fun. Okay, and so speaking of WIPGO, my next pull for WIPGO was number 11, which turned out to be the Modern Folk Embroidery Feast of Plenty. Somewhere in here is the picture of the pattern, which I'm sure you've all seen many times. This is one I've colored in a little bit to decide how to change my colors. But here it is. Hopefully I don't have any, I know I've written all over it. Hopefully there's nothing rude on here. But, and here it is up close. You guys have, so many folks have stitched this beautiful pattern. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. However, I didn't want to stitch it. I don't know why. I didn't want to work on it. But I did get it out and look at it. Where's my... But then I got it out and looked at it, and it's really beautiful. I don't have a whole big thing to put behind it, but here's what I have so far, if you haven't seen it for a while. So I'm just throwing in, I'm mostly doing blue and green and then throwing in red occasionally. And I'm already wondering, did I put too much red? Like, did I overdo it? I don't know. It's coming out so pretty. I took a risk and put the numbers 20 at the top because it's 20, and then at the bottom of the pattern is the year. So I have like 80 years left to stitch this before I have to fix the number at the top. But so I don't know. So being the rules of Pirates Code WIPGO, I just have to get it out and look at it and remember that it's a whip. So I did not work on it. But it is, oh, it's so pretty. So it's staying, I briefly considered UFOing it because I had my existential crisis about, I am never finishing all of these as much as I would like to. But it's still in the running because I do love it so much. So, okay, that's all the current projects I have to show you. Where's my pile of things? One moment while I reconfigure. Okay, so earlier this month, a very lovely woman named Amber contacted me and offered to give me some patterns from her Etsy shop if I would show them on my Flosstube. And so I went and had a look. And she has a lovely Etsy shop that Etsy is now making, it feels like Etsy is making it harder to find shops. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. So I'm kind of glad she reached out to me. She has some neat stuff, and she's trying really hard with her shop. She has lots of pictures. A lot of her projects are already stitched, which is great. It's hard for a designer to stitch everything they've designed, but she has quite a few already stitched up. She also will do custom stitching, custom designing. So like if you want her to chart out words maybe for you or something. I think she even did a small pattern like of someone's pet or whatever, so she'll do that as well. But I picked out a couple of patterns that are, one of them I really resonated with, actually both of them. So this one is called, no, I forgot the name of it. I wrote it down. It's called, excuse me a moment, and I didn't say the design. So the designer is Witchy Woman Cross Stitch, and please, as opposed to looking for her on Etsy, you won't find her. Click the link that I'll put below, and it'll take you right to her shop. She's also on Instagram as Witchy Woman Cross Stitch on Instagram. So one of the patterns I chose was Classic Horror Lover, and you can see this stitched up on Etsy. Oh, we'll come all the way back here to show it. And so it says, I was raised by Poe, Shelley, and Stoker. And I was. I read Poe stories as a very young child. Love Mary Shelley. And actually, even though I tried many times to read Dracula as a young girl, I didn't actually fully read Dracula until this past year, 2024. I finally read it, and it's really creepy. All the cliche kind of vampire stuff that you see in movies that are really creepy, like climbing on your hands and knees like down the side of a wall. That's from the original Dracula, so I was surprised. It was very creepy, great book. I'm sure a lot of you have read it, but he had some weird opinions about women. Very, very strange. Anyway, this next pattern is called 90s Sleepover, and this one I love this pattern. 90s Sleepover. Even my husband was super excited. I think I'm going to start this right away. I don't know how she did it, but this is me and my friend Izzy, actually in the late 80s because I'm older. This is exactly what it looked like when I would hang out with Izzy. She lived down the street, actually across the street and down another street, but this is her couch. Instead of video game controllers, which you can see here, she had one of the very first VCRs, the kind where the remote control had a cord. So just like this. And so we would sit on the floor in front of the couch because that's how far the cord would reach. And we would watch movies and, you know, eat pizza or whatever and hang out. And I mean, the girl here with the purple hair, that's Izzy. That looks exactly like her. I'm so excited to stitch this. I'll probably find fabric, you know, whatever you could either stitch the whole, she has it charted so you stitch the whole background, but I'm just going to do it on, you know, some kind of cool fabric, and just do the design in the middle. But I am so excited for this pattern, you would not believe. So it is a full coverage pattern. Let's see the stats. It's 168 by 168. No, yes. Well, 167 by 160 to split if you're splitting hairs. And I'll show you. I guess I can show you the thread list. So it's doable. This is not St. George and the Dragon size. This is an actually doable full coverage pattern. So I'm very excited. Thank you, Amber, so much. I will definitely be starting this. I was going to start it before this floss tube, and then I always get distracted by other things. Emily C. recommended a horror novel called We Used to Live Here, and so I went right out and bought it because it sounded really good, and it has completely mesmerized me. I wasted an entire day yesterday reading it. I'm more than halfway through it. It's so good. So that's why I haven't gotten some stuff done. So check out Witchy Woman Cross Stitch on Etsy, and give her a look-see. And what is next? Oh, I'm on to page 3. Oh, we have reached the revenge patterns portion of the program. If you're new here, I call it revenge patterns because people keep showing and designing beautiful new patterns, and I've asked them not to because it just makes me want to start more projects. And they have, of course, refused. So I have called this Revenge Patterns because I'm showing patterns that maybe you guys haven't seen or you forgot about that you must have. But it is January. We are probably a little broke, a little exhausted from Christmas or the holiday season, gift giving, etc. So I am calling this Revenge Patterns Mercy Edition. And I'm going to show you free patterns. Now, a lot of these free patterns I can't show you the thing because it's the pattern, but where I found pictures online, I should probably move one way or the other and put the pictures up behind me so you can see them. And I will also link below. So these are just free patterns that I found that I really liked. As you know, there are countless free patterns out there. And so any designer that you like, that you admire, definitely go to their actual website, because you won't find free stuff on Etsy, but you'll find it on the designer website. Often, if they have a newsletter, you sign up for the newsletter, they will sometimes email you a free pattern. So just kind of stay out there in social media. I think a lot of designers will sometimes share free patterns on Instagram. And if you like a designer, go to their Instagram page and scroll around and see what you can find. It seems like Shannon Christine Designs does that a lot. She puts them right on Instagram. So these are the ones I have found that I like very much. So let's get right to it. And I did link below where I found them, so they are still available. I had to pull some out of the list that are not available any longer. So these are the ones I found. So starting right off, we have Snarky Hearts by Lindy Stitches. And this one I do have a picture. I know this is going to sound gross. Conversation hearts are my favorite candy in the whole world. And conversation hearts, I don't know if they sell these in other countries. They're like a chalky, sugary candy. Most people hate them, but conversation hearts got me through graduate school because I was working full time and then staying up all night studying, and somehow doing this with little pieces of candy keeps me awake and helps me think. And you can only get these once a year, so they're very special to me. I have tried like buying a whole bunch and stocking up, but it doesn't work because I just eat them all at once, which is kind of gross. So anyway, Steph did give several different things you can write on the hearts, and of course you could change this as well to whatever message you want. I love this. I actually think it'd be fun to stitch this as like little 3D pillows. How fun would that be? So one of these days I'll stitch that one. And again, I have links to where you get these down below in the description box. This one, I'll move over to show here. This is Radoperin, who I just showed the tree pattern. They have quite a few free patterns, very cute ones. This one is like a tree with some bunnies underneath it, super cute. There's a very similar tree with deer underneath it. If you're not into bunnies, you know who you are. So that's Radoperin. And I'll take you right to their website. They also, you can buy their patterns directly from their website, even if you're not in Italy. At least you could when I bought mine. So kind of you poke around. I think sometimes Google you can hit the translate button and it'll help you translate because the website's all in Italian. So, the blue flower. She has, one of these days I'm going to stitch these for my friends. There's a cookies pattern. Two of my friends love to bake. And then there's a Stitcher's Gonna Stitch pattern, which is super cute. And then she has this Holiday Ostrich pattern. I love this guy so much. And if you click on the links, she has quite a few other freebies, including the Holiday Bat, which is a little bat hanging upside down with the Santa hat. Super cute. So that's the blue flower. Then we have Mereshka. So that kit maker that I showed you, the cat in the window there with the flowers, they have some very fancy freebies. There's this little bird one, birds and flowers. And it's not, I think if you click that link, I have two different bird and flower ones from Mereshka. So I think if you click that link, usually if you click the link, it automatically will just download the PDF for you. And I can't show these, but they look equally as detailed and really pretty. Can't believe these are free. Then we have Hello from Liz Matthews. Has some really cute freebies. I love her. She has like a classic, what's the word? Like a clean style, kind of like mid-century modern stuff is like straight lines and clean. I just love it. I love her style. She has quite a few freebies on her website. And then next we have Tiny Modernist, who also has a ton of freebies. Wow. These designers are very generous with their designs. So, and I, as an aside, I want you to know, I found these pictures I'm showing you at great peril to myself because I had to look at all their other gorgeous designs to find the freebies and try not to buy anything else. So there's Tiny Modernist with lots of freebies. I'm just showing you a couple, but go look, there's tons. Heartstring Samplery. Her website, if you go to her blog section and scroll around, you'll find some freebies interspersed. I'm trying to slow down so that I have time to put pictures up in here. What's another one? Okay. Pinker and Pumpkin. If you haven't heard of Pinker and Pumpkin, she's a blogger, so this is her blog, the old-fashioned kind of, I say old-fashioned, I used to have a blog too, where it's like a diary and with pictures. And so she's a quilter, but she also designs cross stitch, and she gives the cross stitches away for free. So you do have to scroll around, but you're going to have fun scrolling around. She has gorgeous photography with all of her quilts and things. I just noticed this time around she's doing a new SAL is Stitch Along. It was called Winter Stamp SAL, and she's right in the middle of it now. So you get little small pieces that you can. They look like stamps. So there's a couple out now, and if you just keep hanging out and going back, you'll get the rest of them. And then if you go to the right side of her screen, you'll see it says blog archives, and there's years listed. So if you go to 2023, she has a series of houses. They're gorgeous. I can't believe she's giving these away for free. And then if you also go to 2022, that's where I first started downloading from her, with another series of houses, kind of like the salt box houses, like one for each month. They're so pretty. Oh my gosh, they're so pretty. One of these days I'll stitch those as well. So go check her out. That's Pinker and Pumpkin. I talked about Shannon Christine a little bit. I know I struggled to find those a little bit. I think if you go to her Instagram, she had a series of fancy mugs. I may have found some pictures here. I can't remember. Last night is a blur. We also have Hands-On Design. Hands-On Design has, I really want to stitch. I've seen this stitched up so many times. It's so pretty. Berries in Bloom. And Kathy is another one. If you sign up for her newsletter, you get all kinds of good information, and she sometimes will include a freebie in the newsletter. So sign up for Kathy's newsletter as well. Oh, am I to the end? I think I'm to the end here. Oh, one last one. This one is kind of a bummer. So I had planned to do this Mercy edition months and months ago, and this was one of the main reasons. And this designer, Brooke Nolan, she passed away just recently. She'd been battling cancer for a while, and I know Pam and Steph have talked about her as well. She was incredibly generous with these patterns. This is, and I'll put up some pictures of the actual little animals. She did a whole series of Christmas animals, so it's one animal per day for 25 days. This is what the main thing looks like. So, so the story with Brooke, according to her husband, is that when she passed away, she did not leave a beneficiary for her business, so for her Etsy shop. So his hands are bound by whatever the laws are. He can't continue to sell her patterns. He does not have the right to them. So her Etsy shop is gone. It's closed. I don't think there's any legal way for him to sell those patterns. But for some reason, I put the link below. She had a website, brooksbooks.com, and she has 3 pages of freebies. If you are interested in these, go now. Like, pause me, run to your computer, and go download these, because who knows if they'll still be around. They were around last night. You can still download all the freebies. And I noticed there's a Stitcher's alphabet on the first page. So click on each picture, and it automatically downloads you the little pattern. The animals, the Advent animals, are on page 2. And I forget what was on page 3. But they're still there for now. But don't dawdle on this. Don't go, oh, I'll do it next week, because who knows when they'll be taken down. And I think it would be a great tribute to Brooke if we all keep her art and her patterns alive. So keep stitching her. I think that's what she would want. Not that I know her, but she was very generous. I mean, these Advent animals are just so darn cute. That's very generous. That's a lot of work. Designing those, and then to just give them away for free. So my hope, and I had actually been trying to buy fabric for this. I had in mind what I wanted for the fabric, and I finally found, I think I talked about this in the past, but and now I can't decide between these two. This is, I don't remember the name of this designer. I have this opal blue I don't know if you can see it. It's sparkly. HDF. I forget the name. Who's the dyer? HDF. This is 32 count Opal Vintage Tiffany. And then this is also, this is 28 count. I can't read it. Crystal Dwarf. And this is Picture This Plus. Sorry, you're like, show it to us. So this is an opal fabric. So one of those two, I want to stitch them all in one big piece together. I'll probably use the lighter blue, actually. Yeah, kind of bummed that that Brooke passed away, but let's keep her art alive. So, on that note, that's reached the end of our revenge patterns portion. What's our time looking like? Oh, so since we are talking about being thrifty, maybe not spending as much money, I have two very simple tips that you might be interested in. One of which is, and sorry I didn't prepare for this one, but if you want to save a little bit of money, this is one thing I do. So floss drops, and I love to buy floss drops as well. I apologize, I'm just looking away and digging in a drawer. I have found every time I get like a cute business card or anything in sort of a thicker cardstock that's pretty, okay, like when I buy needle minders and they usually come on a cute little card. Also, interesting enough, 6-packs, whether it's beer or soda, 6-packs usually have bright colors and they're just, you know, thin cardboard. Those are great for floss drops. And the thing I like, this is from this is hard cider, you know, that apple orchard or whatever you call it. Here's the tree. The nice thing about these, they're rough on the back, so you can draw on them with pen. You can write your symbols and your DMC colors, and they don't smear like the shiny ones do. So with a small investment, you can make yourself an unlimited amount of thread drops. Oh, this is from, my husband likes that ginseng tea you can get on Amazon. It comes in a gold box. So this looks very, I think it's called Prince of something? No, I forget what it's called. Prince of Tea, maybe. With a small investment of these, this is a Fisker's one. It's like a punch for like a gift. I think it's meant to be a hang tag punch. You can get these at Michael's, and if you like wait for Michael's to have those sales, like a 40% off sale, you just get it for cheaper. And that's all these are. It's just it's the punch. And then I get the little punch. I should have measured. These are the little punches, you know, for the hole for where your thread goes. So what is that? Wait, I think I have a ruler in this drawer. See what size this is. It looks like a 3/4 of an inch punch. I apologize, anyone who's not in the U.S. and I'm giving you our stupid U.S. measurements, but you know, just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I've made so many floss drops, and like I said, I still like to buy floss drops, but this is a way to not waste those pretty. People send pretty business cards every time I buy from Etsy, and then I can just keep them and use them. And then the other tip I'm going to give you is very weird, but I love this little tip for myself. So if you're trying to keep your fabric taut in a Q-snap, and you know, when you're right at the edge of the fabric, I know sometimes you can fold your fabric over. A lot of people use another piece of fabric, but if you're lazy like me and you don't feel like finding another piece of fabric to jam in there, which helps give the tension to hold your fabric taut, this is packing material. I got all of this from, like when you buy that cheap furniture, like from Amazon, that you have to put together yourself, or even like from IKEA. They usually put this thin, it's like thin foam. They put it between the pieces of, I've gotten this in so many other things. Like if you buy electronics, like this stuff, you end up with it all over the place. It's, you know, just, it's clean because it's in something that's manufactured. So you know it's clean, and then you can easily cut a rectangle off and jam it in your Q-snap. I use this all the time. I think I have, so you just, you know, cut them. It works great, and they last you know, a couple of times and then they shred, but I think this is enough for like a couple years. So a couple of tips for being thrifty, and I hate wasting this stuff, so now I'm using it at least again. So there's a tip for you. Okay, oh, breaking news. Boomerang Stitch has released 3 new patterns last night. You have to see these. I can't believe it. Darn her. You know, I was ready to say, okay, I'm not gonna do any more starts this year. I need to work on my whips. But then Amity releases 3 new patterns. You guys. Okay, this is Milkweed and Monarch. And I will link her Etsy shop. Look at these colors. Look at this gorgeous. It looks like a stained glass window. And the way it's designed is this light purple. This is the fabric. And so you can, whatever fabric you choose, so you can change it up. And then this teal, oh God, that's so pretty. So that's stitched on, and then you leave that part of the fabric blank. Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. Here's the whole thing. So that's Milkweed and Monarch. This one reminds me in the most wonderful way of Charlie Harper. He is my favorite artist. But this is definitely also uniquely Amity's style. Oh, I love this. The robin, and can you see the raindrops? Oh my God, that's just so precious. And this one is called Rainy Day. Oh, I love this pattern so much. And then this one this is my favorite of the 3. This is called City Lights. Oh my gosh, look at this pigeon. Oh, I love it so much. Look how he's in the light. So that, oh my God, she did such a good job with the buildings fading in the light behind the pigeon. Oh my gosh, and he's just so dapper. I love it. I love it so much. Thank you, Amity. So, I don't know why. So, long ago, I haven't done it for years, but I used to be really into bird watching. I live so far away from my friends I used to bird watch with that I kind of haven't done it for a long time. But I love birds, of course. And for a long time, I fashioned myself. We called ourselves bird snobs. So like birds like pigeons and gulls, like and you know, anything that was kind of not, you know, invasive species or whatever. Like we, you know, looked down on things like pigeons. And I don't know why, but I am lately completely charmed by patterns with pigeons in them and seagulls. And I love them so much. That's why this one got me so excited. I don't know what it is, but I love a cross-stitched pigeon. In fact, I can show you, I don't think I've showed this anywhere. Completely forgot. I bought this last summer. This is a Pigeon Coop Designs pigeon pattern. Oh, I love her so much. It's called Soaring Pigeon. I mean, look how sweet she is. I don't know what it is about, you know. Oh gosh, I just love that so much. So now I'm like all about seagulls and pigeons for some reason. So I was definitely excited to see that pattern, and I will be starting that very soon. So we can just go right into my older finishes. I have another one to show you. So that was one by, that's by Max at Pigeon Coop Designs. And that was a kit he sold, which was cute. His kits are really nice. They come with everything, including the hoop. And he even had instructions so you can finish it on the hoop. I'm not sure how I'm going to fully finish that one, though. We'll see. So that was that one. And then this is another past finish of mine. This was the 2023 Collector's Heart by Heart and Hand, and that was the one you got as a kit. And I used all the kit stuff except, well, it didn't come with fabric, and I don't remember. Sorry, I don't remember what fabric this was because I did it long ago. But here it is. Oh, I love it so much. So that is with there was some drama over the thread. It came with the Cottage Garden thread. Didn't quite look like the photograph. But this is that thread, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. And the only thing I changed, my husband and my initials I did in black, and I put our wedding anniversary date. That's what that date is. we always joke, I'm not good at remembering anniversaries and date. Like if someone said, how many years have you been? I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember. And so we could never, I would always, when I had to put like every once in a while, like when you're filling out paperwork, you need to know your wedding date or whatever. I'd always have to go look it up, dig through the filing cabinet. So now if I ever frame this and hang it up, I'll know how long have you been married? Oh, this many years. And I even have, there's no excuse, I bought a frame for it and everything. This is, they're on Etsy. It's called Signed and Numbered. And I think they're in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where they're, and they have a really nice selection of frames, and they're like a mom and pop, like they're a small business, so they have quite a few employees, but they're still like one building and, you know, small number of employees. Here's the back. They're really nice frames. Like I said, huge selection. I think you can custom, like pick out from their selection of what size and color you want. But then they also have ones that are ready to sell. So they just have stuff sitting around that you can just buy. So, all I have to do is jam it in here. Like, why don't I just put it in the frame? Just frame it. So there's that. Oh, and actually, hold on a second. That same shop on Etsy, Signed and Numbered, I think they still sell these. They had these. They're little wooden conversation hearts. And they had a whole bunch of phrases. You just tell them what phrase you want, and they have like a laser thing. So what do mine say? Be mine, love you forever. So I wanted to hang them all together, but I've had these sitting on my bookshelf for 2 years because I suck. One day I will frame those and put them up. Okay, we are moving right along here. So we have now reached the haul portion of the program. I have met some wonderful new friends. Hi, guys. And they are what I like to refer to as pattern pushers or enablers. So I bought quite a few things, and it is 100% their fault in the most wonderful way. So here's a few things I purchased recently under duress. This is 32 count Peony by Fiber on a Whim. I should just get it out, shouldn't I? It's so pink. And all of a sudden I'm into pink. I don't have any plans for this, but look how pretty that is. Oh, I just love it. So something lovely will go on there. And then I have, so we got to talking about Brenda Gervais with A Needle and Thread. I have a couple of her patterns, but there's a ton that I've just really wanted. And I have, like, all of a sudden, now that it's January, I have Valentine's Stitching Fever. This was out last year, and I couldn't get it. It was sold out everywhere. Key to My Heart. And so I thought, you know, I'm just going to get it. And I did get some of the called for threads. The rest I'll just pull from the stash. But I wanted this red. This red is DMC 347, if you're wondering. Oh, it's so pretty. I can't wait to stitch that. It would be fun to, this is like designed for, like, it's not designed for, but the called for is like a smaller, I think it's like, I don't know, probably 40 count knowing Brenda. But it would be fun to stitch this gigantic on like a really big pillow. So there's that one, and then I got, this is called At Home. Is this a new release? I think, oh no, it says 2022, so I just was oblivious and didn't know it existed. So here is At Home. I'll get in closer. Oh, she has so many of these charming patterns with like the house and then all the pretty things around it. Oh, I really like this one though, with all the evergreen trees. And then All Bundled Up. And hubby likes the cardinal, so I had to get one with a cardinal. This is Peppermint Pals. And I'm not going to say anything rude about the thing sticking out of his pants. Just for the record, I didn't say anything. So there's Peppermint Pals. I got some of the fabric, some of the thread, but the rest I'll just use from stash. And then I've wanted this one for so long. It's called Happy Easter. the giant bunny head. Is this focusing? I really hope it is. Okay, and then completely off the winter theme, Pickety Pickety. Because who can resist a witch being towed by a rooster? Oh my god, that's so pretty. So that is Hickety Pickety. And then, okay, so that's Brenda Gervais. I think I have 2 more patterns coming. Because I lost my mind. I bought too many patterns. This is Plum Street Samplers Jump Clump, and this is one of her new ones. Sorry, I should have warned you, they're spiders. Spider! But come on, you can't be scared of them. Look how cute they are. Look at their little eyes. I love jumping spiders. They're my favorite. And then Heartstring Samplery. I found this. I had never seen this before. I just ran across this. This is Heartstring Samplery, the bird collection. And there's like multiple, there's like a whole collection of all different birds that she did. And if you look, hopefully there's no glare. See the song sparrow? So I have this special love for song sparrows. When I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I was living by myself in a house in Baltimore. And the lady before me was this sweet old lady who was really into gardening. So I was on a corner lot. It had a pretty big yard. And she had just gardened the heck out of it. There were literally thousands of daffodils, azalea bushes, giant trees and small trees, like just stuff crammed. There was hardly any lawn. It was just crammed with bushes and flowers and stuff. And it had a lot of birds. And there was this program, I don't know if it's still going on, being a birder, there was a program done by some nature center or whatever, research, probably some research group at a college. This young man came to my house. I signed up, voluntarily, of course. He came to my house and set up, you can set up like they're like big nets, kind of like if you think of like a badminton net or something, but they have a very fine gauge, and you set them up and birds get caught in them, and so you very carefully untwine the bird, and he let me help him out, so it was really cool. We spent the day catching birds in my yard, where you would carefully weigh them and check their health, and then he would put a little band on them, like a little brightly colored band on one leg. And then also a metal band with a number. And so he'd keep track of everything. And then we would immediately let them go so they didn't get hurt. And then I would keep track because I could see the band. I would kind of keep track in a little diary or whatever of who I saw, who came back, and who I saw and what they were doing. And interestingly enough, we captured a pair of song sparrows, and they had yellow bands. Those little birds, I named them, I'm not very imaginative with names, so I named them Song Sparrow Boy and his wife. Song Sparrow Boy and his wife came back every year for the 5 years that I lived there. I loved them so much, and he would sit in this dogwood tree that I had in my front yard, and he would sing his little heart out, and he always cheered me up when I was feeling kind of blue. I loved him so much. And sadly, they never successfully had babies, but they would come back every year. They would migrate to God knows where and come back. So anyway, I had this special love for song sparrows, and you don't see them very often in anything like, pictures or pillows or, you see all the fancy birds like cardinals, but you don't see song sparrows. So I was so excited. That's the reason I bought this pattern. And I will be putting a little yellow band on this one when I finish it. So, very long story to say why I bought a pattern. And then, okay, lastly, Cottage Garden Samplings. Bless this house because giant pigeon. Oh my gosh, look at him. And actually, I was kind of thinking, I didn't buy these together on purpose, but I think the pigeon and the tree would go, or even the house, would look really good on this fabric. I might not do this weird cherry bowl, but I could put the pigeon standing on the house or something. So we'll see. But another pigeon. So I have like, what, three pigeon patterns. So thank you for sticking around with me if you stuck around this long. That's all I have for cross stitch, but I do have more stuff to show you. I actually wanted to get controversial with you and talk about about a touchy subject for both stitchers and knitters and crocheters. We're of course talking about knots. So if you've stitched for any length of time, if you're a knitter, the general gasp, you never would tie a knot, right? Don't tie a knot, don't tie a knot. You have to weave your ends in, weave your ends in. So what I want to talk about is, I didn't have, in my immediate family, did not have any crafters, but distant family like my great aunt Lillian, she crocheted so much that she actually would give crocheted tablecloths to my father and his brother. They would sit under the table and unravel her crocheted tablecloths because I think she was keeping them out of trouble. So here, just unravel this and wind up the ball. That's how much she crocheted. And then if you go further back in time to great-great-great-grandparents, so distant that I don't know their names, there were quite a few little old ladies that they would talk about. Well, they weren't always little old ladies. But there was a group of sisters. We're going way, way back in time in my family on my dad's side. And they did lots of quilting, lots of knitting. And back then, the reason you quilted and knitted was because you needed blankets and socks, etc. So very little was passed down to me. I have a few quilts, but they're all used. So they're raggedy, but that's beautiful. That's what their purpose was. I have a bunch of mittens. I have like a bunch of single hand knitted mittens because in the family, you know, with a family with 4 kids, they would all get a chance to wear these mittens, and so they would get completely used up. So the socks, and I think I have 1 pair of socks from my great great aunt. They all have holes in them. I kept them because it's just neat to have, but I don't have anything like museum quality because back then you made something and you used it. So I think it was this year, my aunt, my dad's sister, sent me this out of the blue. I didn't know this blanket existed. This is a knitted blanket with, you can kind of see, you didn't throw anything away. So this is many other things were knitted, and these were the ends. And so you then do a scrappy knit blanket, and you can see it's got a lot of holes in it. It was used. It was used by many generations, but it's beautiful. So here it is. And here's even, look how neat and tidy the back is. This is the back, all knitted. And I have a reason for showing you this. And my aunt was like, I wonder if you can repair it. And I was like, you can easily repair knitting, and filling it in. And I could, but I mean, there's hundreds of holes in this. So, I mean, hello. So it's not really worth repairing, but I thought I could actually, because I used to knit a lot of socks. I have a whole bin filled with ends, leftovers from doing socks. So I was like, I could recreate this. And so I was poking around. Oh, and it's got a crocheted edging. So both knit and crochet. Scandal. Knit and crochet in one project. This was done so nicely. And this is most likely wool because it's not unraveling, because wool will felt together after a while. But anyway, I thought I could easily recreate this with my own stuff, which would be really neat as well, to use their pattern or whatever. So I pulled it out of the box that my aunt gave it, and I was sitting downstairs and I was looking at this kind of like this for a long time. I was really looking at it, and I didn't notice until maybe 20 minutes into looking at this thing. Because when you look at knitting with a lot of color changes, you think, oh, all those ends, I gotta weave all those ends in. I hate weaving in ends, right? Well, when I finally noticed these ends are not woven in. Let's see if I can find some that are easy to see on camera. They finished every single thread with a knot. Every single, but you can barely, that's why I'm having trouble finding ones that are easy to see. And it took me so long to find them. Here's one. See that knot right there? That little blue nubbin? Look how neat and tidy, and you can't really feel them. So one of the main arguments for not knotting your stuff is because even with cross stitch, you don't want the bump to show through on the other side, which that's fair. but no one's gonna know. Like, countless people probably sat on the couch with this, keeping warm, or put it on a children's bed. It's kind of a small, it's like maybe a single bed size. You can't feel the knot. You can't tell it's there. Here's a bunch more in the border. So, I mean, I was really being nosy and poking and prodding at this thing to find the knots. So, my conclusion is, if you just want to get on with your life, tie a freaking knot. No one's gonna care. No one's gonna know. There's no craft police, thank goodness. So I would be so arrested. But this is me giving you permission to tie knots and, you know, use your stuff. Don't just put it away for nice. Use it, enjoy it, love it. Because this is love across generations. I love this blanket so much, just for that. All the people that I never got to meet, but they touched this blanket too. So, and now it's mine. And I did actually, because it was a little grody. I threw it right in the washing machine too. I did let it hang to dry, but it went right in the washing machine. Nothing unraveled, as old as it is. It smells great, feels great. Use your stuff. But now I want to show you, I know I showed you a brand new knit project last time. I started a crochet project. And this started years ago, probably 10 years ago. I bought this yarn, and from across the room, I saw this yarn. I don't know if can you see the sparkle? It's sparkly. And from across the room, I thought, that looks like a dragon. Well, it turns out the name of the dyer is Spruce Dragon LLC. And I forgot to check before filming, because I bought this 10 years ago, to see if they're still around. But Spruce Dragon LLC in Colorado Springs. And the name of this yarn is Scorched Earth. And so I bought it without knowing what I was going to do with it. I really hope you can see the sparkle. You can't feel the sparkle, though. It's very soft. And this is fingering weight yarn, superwash merino, and I guess lurex. I guess that's the sparkly part, is the lurex. So anyway, I bought 2 skeins of this, and I put it on a shelf because I couldn't come up with a pattern that was nice enough, because I really wanted to show off the yarn. I didn't want to just do a random pattern. I wanted something perfect for it. So it's been in my stash forever, along with this that I got from Western Sky Knits, and they are still in business. They're on Etsy. I think they have their own website. Western Sky Knits, and they're in Montana. And I bought, this is also sparkly. I don't know if you can see the sparkle, but also fingering weight. I bought these at the same time because look at them together. So I could not come up with a pattern. Here they are together. I wanted a pattern that used them both because I just couldn't bear to separate them. And I just couldn't find anything. Well, I was on Reddit. There's a Reddit, a subreddit called Brochet, and it started out for like men who crochet, and they're very, anyone can join. I usually just lurk, and I like to see everyone's projects. Well, this guy on Reddit was stitching a scarf, and it's a crochet stitch called crocodile stitch, and it looks like scales. So I went right down the rabbit hole on Ravelry, and I found this pattern, and I'll put pictures here also. This is called the Crocodile Kerchief Cowl. And you can't really see it that great on this picture, but I'll put pictures up here. It's by Taylor E. Owen. And I started, so it's like a cowl, but you knit it, you crochet it flat, and then you kind of fold it together so it turns into a cowl. So here is my very small start. So you start at the corner, and so I wanted it to look kind of natural with like random blue scales. And I'm still a beginner crocheter. I don't feel as comfortable as I do with knitting, but I'm getting better. But I would actually, if I had just crocheted right through, I would have a piece like this big to show you. But I unraveled this so many times, making stupid mistakes. But it was still really fun. I don't mind unraveling. And so all the other samples of people using this stitch. When, like, you can of course change colors as you crochet, but they would do it across a whole row. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to be more natural with like one scale is blue. So it'll just be random blue scales throughout. So I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but I just changing colors, and then here's the back. So I just pulled in the blue and I carried the gold color over. And then I freaking knotted it, people. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the ends. I just tied a knot so it won't come out now. But I'm probably just going to knot these instead of weaving in it. Because if you weave in this blue, I don't want it to show through. If I have to weave it in all over the place, it'll show through on the front. So good thing there's no crochet police. But I think it looks cute. It's coming out really fun. It's going to take forever. But that's my project. So that's a long way of showing you, a long-winded way of telling you about my new project. Okay, I do have a wish list item I want to put out into the universe. If anyone is still watching and is a app developer, like a software person, please, or if you know someone, I would like someone to invent an app where you put in one or more colors of floss, and then it searches the web and finds all the cross-stitch patterns that use that color of floss. And the purpose is, number one, you know, when you need a color for a new project, and you know you bought that color for another project, but you don't remember where. And that way you can like not have to search through every project bag to find one color of floss, right? You just know, oh, it's in that pattern that I made. The other reason is when you buy a whole bag of floss on, say, 1, 2, 3 stitch, and then by the time it gets to you, you forget why you bought it. But you can put all the floss in there, and then it'll show you the pattern. Oh yeah, I bought it because I was kitting up that pattern. So that's my wish I'm going to throw out into the universe. Please, please help me out here. Okay. And one final thought before I leave you. Just remember, joy is a form of resistance. So if you are feeling stressed out or bullied by enemies large or small, near or far, just remember that old adage is very true. The best revenge is living well. Be happy despite it all. Laugh right in the faces of your enemies. Okay? All right. Love you guys. Thanks so much for sticking around with me. And I hope you're stitching or doing whatever it is that makes you happy. If you're in the northern hemisphere, stay warm. If you're in the southern hemisphere, stay cool. Bye.